Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Corinne.
And where are we this week, Corinne?
Today we are visiting the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park in Colorado.
It's an absolutely beautiful location, and we're looking forward to doing some photography here, and we're going to take you with us.
The Black Canyon is known for its deep black walls. There's actually multiple types of rock on the walls, and it's known as the Black Canyon of the Gunnison because the Gunnison River flows through it. The canyon pretty much runs from west to east or east to west, and there's a few outlook points along the rim road. This week we're only able to visit along the main rim road. The East Portal Road is closed for construction during the summer of 2021.
When we arrived at the Black Canyon of the Gunnison, it was an absolutely beautiful day. White puffy clouds, blue skies, and we spent most of the day reconnoitering the various viewpoints. Later on, we decided to settle on Sunset Point for the night's photography.
This is the viewpoint at Sunset View. It's a short walk from the parking area, and there's some picnic tables here.
Right after Corinne recorded this section, the audio failed on the Osmo. What we were out there doing was taking some DSLR handheld shots of the white puffy clouds and beautiful blue sky. One of the shots I thought was very attractive with this really interesting looking tree with the clouds behind it. So I spent a little bit of time shooting that as well. And here are the photographs.
Corinne and I are back at our campsite after a lovely afternoon of reconnoitering. Unfortunately, the big dark clouds and the thunder are starting to roll in, so we're kind of wondering if maybe we might get snuffed out tonight. We'll just have to wait and see. It might be getting up early in the morning and going out and shooting then. Anyway, we won't know for sure for another hour or so, but I think we're going to get snuffed out.
Well, it's really starting to look like tonight might be a bit of a bust. It's starting to rain, there's thunder, and there's quite a bit of lightning. Can't really see the lightning very well. It's up in the clouds as opposed to kind of coming down to the ground from the clouds. So we've retreated to the van. Corinne's cooking some dinner, and we'll just have to see how this turns out in a couple hours when it comes to sunset.
Hi folks. Well, as you can see, we're in the van, but the van is actually at the overlook, and we spent a pretty nice evening out here.
Yes, the rains passed during our dinner hour, and then it stopped for a while, so we said, let's go to that overlook we scoped out earlier today, and we'll just sit in the van and see if we get a break in the rain, and we did. So we hopped out and did about half an hour of photography, and now it's starting to rain again.
Yeah, and it's starting to really get dark. What happened is a little sliver of the clouds opened up and let the sun sort of come through for about 20 minutes or so, and it gave us a really lovely kind of streaky sky sort of photograph. So it was a really lovely evening. And the reason that there's no video from that is that we met a new friend. Hi, Steve. And we talked with Steve during the evening, so we didn't actually do any video down there. So this is just a summary of that. And we'll definitely show you the pictures, and I may add some commentary to the photographs. Corinne and I are back up and out and early this morning at Pulpit Point. We're going to do some morning photography. The conditions are overcast. It could be a beautiful morning. It could be a bust. We're just going to have to wait and see. We're about 30 minutes before sunrise, and I suspect it'll be right at sunrise where everything starts happening, if it's going to happen. We have a little opening over on the east side, to east of us, and if we get any light at all, it'll come probably from there. Although we do have a little bit of an opening over there as well. So we're just going to wait and see what happens. So I'm shooting this morning with a portrait orientation. I've got the camera set up so that I can catch some of the color brightness in the clouds up above, and still have a really good full view of the canyon, including the water in the bottom. Right now I'm shooting at f/22, and only because I'm actually slowing down the shutter speed a little bit, letting it the shutter stay open a little longer and sort of capture a little bit more light in this really dark scene. And otherwise it's a pretty straightforward shot. I've got a 4-stop hard edge neutral density filter in the top part to darken up the sky, but otherwise it's a really straightforward shot.
It's been a very slow growing sunrise. There's a band of clouds that's on the eastern horizon, northeastern horizon, where the sun's rising. And it's filtering the light, which in some ways is helpful, because if you get too much intense sunlight all at once, you get the high contrast brights and shadows, and that's hard to work with in something like a canyon like this. So in a way, the diffuse lighting of this sunrise is giving us more of the detail within the canyon that makes the picture more complete, less high contrast and things that are lost in the details that are lost in the shadows. So the sun's about to pop over the last of the clouds, so we'll see if we get a couple more shots in here. Our sun has finally made it up over the clouds, and the sky is pretty washed out. Not much color to it. The clouds are flat. You can see over on the south side here how we're getting much more highlights with sun beaming down on the canyon walls. So that's going to make this lower part a lot more shadowed. You can start to see the shadow line. So that's probably going to mean the end of our photography for several hours.
So the next morning, Corinne and I headed for Cedar Point in order to shoot the painted wall. It was a difficult decision, and as you can see, we're making excuses for ourselves here in a minute. We made a bit of a rookie mistake this morning. We planned to come to this location based on conditions that we thought would probably be the case yesterday afternoon. We kind of assumed that we either have light very similar to yesterday, which was the kind of big crack in the clouds in the east, and or we would have a clearer sky and either little or no cloud. And this would have been a great spot for that. Both of those conditions would have given us really good light. But when we got up this morning, we did notice that it was very, very heavy overcast, and that the opening in the east was going to likely be a lot smaller. So what we ought to have done was modified our plans to go to a plan B, which would have been a location that either had multiple compositions. In this particular one, although there might be multiple compositions facing to the west, there is really only the westward composition to use. And it's something that we know about, it's something that we would normally do, but this morning we just kind of didn't get our collective act together, and consequently it's a little too late to go back. The only good thing that's happening is we're getting some kind of nice looking structures in the clouds above the mountains here that are actually fairly interesting, if not really very well lit. Corinne and I have been sitting here. The sun is now well up. It's after 7 o'clock. And it's actually, we're really glad that we did, because there's a little crack in the clouds behind us, and they have just lit up the west side of the canyon absolutely beautifully. It's really a rather pretty shot, even with the dark clouds up behind it. And in fact, the clouds are probably interesting enough that I might even keep them in the shot. So it turns out it was probably worth sitting here waiting. It just shows the importance of patience and not being in too much of a hurry.
Well, I came over to the second viewpoint here at Cedar Point on the Black Canyon, and this just gives me a little less distraction on the left side. I captured just a couple pictures before the sun really broke through the clouds. Hopefully they'll be pretty good. Now the sun is breaking out a little bit more, and you can probably see right here in the distance that it's creating some really intense highlights on that back wall, and there's some on the other side to my right as well. So those might be too much contrast, too many highlights versus the shadows of the canyon. So those may not turn out very well for the most recent pictures. I'm going to wait and see if we get the sun going back into the clouds a little bit and a little more filtered light, so that the contrast isn't so high, and maybe that'll be the more ideal lighting. Sometimes working in a national park or national monument can be a bit of a struggle when you're working with these enclosures that are here to protect the public from falling off ledges. My problem is that this is quite tall relative to my height, so it's probably at a 4-foot height. So then I have to crank up my tripod to work over the railing, but then this gets the viewfinder and back of the camera screen a little too high for me to comfortably work. So I'm straining my neck and trying to read the back of the screen, and it's a little higher than my comfort zone.
As it turns out, I was totally wrong about being in the wrong location that morning. The sky eventually opened to the east. It just took a little longer and we needed a little bit more patience. But all of a sudden the sky opened up and started lighting up the painted wall and the canyon, and it turned out to be perfect. It even got a little bit more muted, like Corinne asked for. So we got the perfect conditions for that shoot.
That pretty much wraps up our photography for here at the Black Canyon of the Gunnison. It was an interesting 4 days, 3.5, 4 days, and we got mostly mediocre light for sunset and sunrises. What else would you say?
It's probably challenging because of the deep canyon, so maybe filtered light is slightly better than full intense sunlight.
Yeah, we did actually do some daytime shots with kind of like the white puffy clouds, and those were a challenge because the canyon is so black and the clouds are so white that even with the polarizer, keeping the light balance between sky and canyon really was kind of difficult. The other thing that we did find, though, we hung in here at Cedar Point well past sunrise and rewarded with some pretty dramatic shots. So I was actually pretty happy that that actually occurred.
I think that does a wrap-up for us at this location.
Well, that pretty much ends this video, and we sure hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to know when we release videos, hit that little bell button.
And we hope you'll consider subscribing. We appreciate all the subscribers and hope that you'll share this with other people.
And as always, if you'd like to ask us a question, have a comment, have any ideas, we love hearing from you and we respond to all of them. So until next week, bye for now.
Bye for now.